You're live, Madam Chair.
Welcome, everyone, to the Oversight Committee. Thanks for being here this evening in this beautiful weather. I know you could have been somewhere else, so thank you for coming. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and if you wouldn't mind, Gary, would you mind giving the invocation?
Not at all. Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for this opportunity to be here. Lord, we just ask that your will be done in our lives, whether it's here or in our homes or wherever it may be. And we just thank you for the grace that you've given us, and we just ask for your blessings through this day and the rest of the week. Amen.
Amen. All right, so next item is the approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It passes. The next item we're going to bring up is the electric charging meters in our parking garage, and we will defer to Kurt to make those comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Cannell, just could you brief me of that you talked about earlier about the electric rates? Would you brief the committee on that, please?
Yes, we, as you know, we have our electric chargers in the parking deck as part of the new building. They cost approximately $1,000 a month. We were able to get that price down. It used to be $1,600. We were able to get it down with Duke, basically based on the usage. Prior, they had it estimated to be a lot higher than what it really is, and so they have lowered the amount. We did get a donation to pay for them. I believe it was $5,400, so that will carry us a number of months. And that came from basically a law firm that does some charitable contributions. They give to United Way and other places. So we're thankful for that, but we're in the process of trying to secure a long-term solution for that. It's a benefit to both the public and the employees that have electric vehicles. And up until recently, that was kind of the direction that it looked like vehicles were going. So there's a number of them in the garage, I believe about 34 of them right now. And we'll be able to update you once we have some long-term solution.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions on the committee for that?
Yeah, Mr. Cannell, can you clarify if it's $1,000 per charger or if it's just total?
Per month. For all of them.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
That's the amount of electric we're pulling from it?
Well, that's what we're getting charged
For it, okay.
They have other fees and everything and a minimal usage that they charge you in a commercial structure, and so we're probably not using that much.
Okay. Have you gotten any complaints from the public that they couldn't find an open one, or is it I didn't hear that
I've
either.
never had a complaint. There's always many that are open.
Okay, all right, thank you.
What would be if we were to move to a fee-based system? How much are those chargers per piece?
The latest estimate we had is somewhere between 20 and 30,000 per charger. Now we're looking at other options. These I don't think can be retrofitted with
Payment
the
kits.
charge station. So we'll look at that. That's one of the options we're looking at.
And looking down the road, and I apologize for not briefing you on this earlier or letting you know I was going to ask it, but the question I would say is the garage going to be a pay garage once the county square opens properly after business hours, say 5 p.m. on, or on the weekends? Is that the idea?
That's the idea. Of
Okay.
course, that's up to county council if you don't want to charge in the evenings or whatever. Right now, of course, it's not an issue because we're the
Right.
only building here. The thought would be once there's a lot more development here, and I'm not talking the apartments and all that because they'll have their own parking, but when there's retail and restaurants and things like that after 5 o'clock, we'd try to generate some revenue from that parking.
Okay, so we might want to look at having pay for fee chargers at that time.
That's
something like that.
Very possible,
Okay.
yes.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
No,
That's it, Madam Chair. Thank you.
you're welcome. Next item is Greater Greenville Sanitation District update. And Tony, if you would like to come forward, and anybody else you brought with you, come forward. Okay.
Yes. This is Steve Cole, he's our director.
Yes.
This is Will Stewart, he's one of our commissioners.
Thank you for
I'm
coming.
Tony Earl.
Thank you so much for coming. What we'd like to do is just give you guys an opportunity to give us an update where you're at, anything you guys want to advise us of, or anything you want to say. We're just giving you an open floor opportunity here to speak.
Do you have anything specific that you want us to update you on?
Yeah, if you could maybe update for the public what's going on with the bills that are currently in the House and Senate. I know one was defeated. If you could kind of give us an update,
Thanks.
thank you. Thank you.
So the current amendment that's on the floor right now does essentially 4 things, and we were having a conversation about that earlier. One, we stay within our district, operate within the confines of our district, okay? 2, it changes our annexation structure. Instead of it being a majority of the freeholders, changes that to 66%. And we agree not to do any non-contiguous annexations for a period of 4 years. That the transfer station can only take garbage from within our district and from our intergovernmental agreements. And we can continue our intergovernmental agreements with the understanding that the city of Travelers Rest has to be brought up to the average amount charged in the district. And that's laid out in there for you.
Okay. What was the first one you said? I didn't hear all of that. The first one you pointed out.
If I'm not mistaken, it's stay within our district.
Okay. Any updates on your transfer station? I know you've been working on that.
No,
No
nothing at
updates
all.
there.
Because as the bill sits there, we're not able to obtain the GO bond that we were approved for as long as that's sitting out there.
You can't hear? Can you hear?
They said they cannot move forward with the GO bond because of all the litigation that's going on at the
The legislation at the State
Yeah.
House is
Yeah.
keeping us from being able to move forward with the bond.
Okay.
Oh, did forget one thing, conservation easement on the property on Highway 124. We have one senator that wants us to put 100 acres into the conservation easement, and another one that only wants it to be 50 to 75. They're hung up on part of that right now. Everybody else is in agreement on the other parts.
Okay. All right. And which bill is that that's,
H4003,
and 4002 is defeated, right?
yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Anything else y'all want to say or update us on? You're welcome to do it.
No.
No? Okay.
Didn't really know what you wanted from us, and
Yeah, I just wanted to give you an opportunity. We just felt like the board hadn't got an opportunity to speak in the open forums, and want to give you that opportunity so you can pass along anything you wanted to. Are there any more questions, y'all?
Yeah, I got some questions.
Okay.
These are for the 2 commissioners. What do you see your role as being a Greater Greenville Sanitation District Commissioner? Just
I would answer that. We provide oversight to Greater Greenville Sanitation. We do not get into the day-to-day operations of determining who gets what raises or how they're evaluated or what trucks do what. We provide oversight. We look at and talk regularly with Steve and the other folks there as to finding out what equipment needs we have, what's down the road, how vehicles are wearing. You know, some may need to be replaced next year, and you have to figure that into your budget, that you might have to replace a tractor or a truck or something.
sir, if I may, could you speak to the microphone, please? I'm so
Okay.
sorry. Please forgive me.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I'll-
we,
You can pull it
Yeah,
closer
you can
also.
take it and just,
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
there you go. Is that okay?
yes, sir.
That's
Yeah.
a lot better, yeah.
Okay,
We're having
so we
fun
would just
here.
provide oversight, you know, it's the budget, how much we're gonna spend, what we're gonna spend it on, We don't get into individual salaries, what people that work there make. That's up to the HR department and that stuff. But it's mainly, like I go every week and meet with Steve and find out what the issues are, what's going on, what do we need, have we got enough employees, are we getting ready for leaf season, making sure we got all our, T's crossed, I's dotted. Then I go down to the shop and talk to them, find out what's going on there, how we're doing with our tires and equipment, what needs and things. They needed a new air compressor. We got that. The other one was failing regularly. So you find out the heartbeat, what's going on. If you have the time, to get by, just like any commission you appoint, you got to spend the time and find out. So that's what the commissioners do. And we go down there regularly. We have subcommittees just like you do. And the commissioner that's assigned that subcommittee conducts the meeting and finds out, like accidents. Obviously, we have accidents occasionally. And so we have an accident review. What happened? What caused it? Was a disciplinary action needed? A warning, whatever. So we have one of the commissioners that meets that. We have, all the other commissions that, y'all might have that you meet, and then you come before I come to commission meeting, council meetings, and, then y'all bring up things that you need to vote on, and you don't get into real detailed discussions on that in there because you've already discussed it in subcommittee, and you know what you're going to do. You know all about it. Steve presents us all the information, like which tractors have the better maintenance records, which perform better, which has issues, so you can make a good decision. Maybe the cheapest price isn't the best as far as, the performance. So that's what the commission, as I see it, provides oversight. We don't tell the individual employees anything. We talk to Mr. Cole and explain our concerns and questions, and he answers them right away. I'm sorry, go ahead. What do you have?
No, I'm the newest.
Okay.
I've only been there for 4 months.
Gotcha.
But I'm over a medical committee, so the nature of my work, I assist them in looking at medical costs and benefits.
Okay, great. So how long have you been on the commission, Mr. Ernst?
This is my 8th year
Okay, so when did Mr. Cole come on?
before me.
Before you? Okay, but you've been providing oversight the entire time that they've been going outside of their district?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All the commissioners do that. We meet with Mr. Cole regularly and discuss any issues that come up.
okay.
We want Greater Greenville to be the best there is in the sanitation business, and that's what we strive
Yeah.
for.
Well, y'all ain't going anywhere because trust me, I've got enough emails to where y'all are going to be sitting tight, so you're good. But are y'all familiar with the enabling laws Greater Greenville is supposed to comply with?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you agree that Greater Greenville is a government agency that was put into existence to provide a public service in a specific area and given the right to require certain taxpayers to pay taxes for those services? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you agree that you've been given a monopoly over these customers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you agree that you have an obligation to treat those monopoly customers fairly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you agree taxpayers could leave your district and stop paying millage and the sanitation fee if they become unhappy with the services or price?
Say that one more time.
Do you agree a taxpayer could leave your district and stop paying millage and the sanitation fee if they become unhappy with your service or price?
No, sir.
Okay.
No more than I would feel like a person should quit paying school taxes because they don't have a child in school, or they don't, all those are for the good of the public as a whole. And I understand that some people pay a little more, some people pay less, but it's based like all millage is. For everything that the county charges, the more expensive the home is or the property, the more they pay in
Yeah.
sanitation fees or school tax and all that.
Yeah, there's no wrong answers here. I just want clarification. Do you agree the mission of Greater Greenville is to provide the service efficiently and at the lowest cost to the taxpayer?
I agree that it should provide the best service at the best cost to the taxpayer.
Okay. Are you familiar with the specific law that governs Greater Greenville's ability to provide services outside of its boundaries?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So why'd that happen? Like, why are we all here?
Why are we up here?
Yeah.
That's what I would like. I got a call Monday and asked me to be here. and
Well, I
agreed
mean,
to.
we're here because y'all were going outside of your district.
Yes, sir. Our enabling legislation plainly states that we can go outside of our district. We absolutely do not solicit people outside the district. You know, some people get unhappy with the other trash carriers, and they ask us, could we, service them? And so we work towards, we try to make people happy, and if it's their reasoning to come to us, not to them. And so we would say yes, but our enabling legislation plainly says that we can do this.
Okay. Are you making a profit of $14 a home in Travelers Rest?
I'm sorry, are we making a
Yeah.
profit?
Yeah, a $14 profit of the homes in Travelers Rest.
I'm not,
You only
I don't
service
have
it?
those figures. Do you?
Okay.
Can you answer that?
We made about $50,000 last year off Travelers Rest.
Off of all the people that you serve at Travelers Rest? Okay. Do you know how many homes that was?
Approximately 1,800.
1,800? Okay. Are you aware that at least as early as February 2013, Greater Greenville was actively seeking to expand the outside of its boundaries by surveying and marketing with Taylor's Fire as to how Greater Greenville may be able to provide a similar service and cost savings to the customer?
You want me to answer that? 'Cause he wasn't
Yeah, I
here.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
not aware of
Yeah,
it.
if you don't mind.
No. Taylor's Fire and Sewer came to us about servicing them, and that conversation came up.
Okay.
That was a mutual conversation. It wasn't one-sided at that time.
So you didn't go to them, they came to you?
That is correct.
Okay. If I were to show you a tax bill for a taxpayer in the sanitation district where the taxpayer's paying 15.05 cents in millage and a $210 sanitation fee, what would you say the amount a taxpayer is paying for the Greater Greenville services?
Like on an annual basis or monthly
Yeah,
basis?
on an annual basis.
Well, the $210 is flat fee, and then depending on the price of the house, if you've got somebody who's living in what the median household value is in our district is $110,000. So somebody at that level is paying approximately $240 to $250 a year.
Okay.
Obviously, that can fluctuate and go way
Right,
up,
right.
way
So
down.
if somebody's living like $1 million home,
Oh, sure.
they're paying like $400 plus the sanitation fee? Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Would you agree Greater Greenville has in recent years and even current to this day that you're having conversations, discussions, and negotiating with specific out-of-district neighborhoods and businesses to provide them with waste collection services?
Sure, we have plenty that come to us and ask about annexing into the district or if we're willing to service them.
Okay. Would you agree your website promotes Greater Greenville to prospect new business?
I would say no.
You say no to that? Okay. Can you show us a financial analysis that demonstrates that that's going to go out to lowering your prices outside of your district that makes money and benefits your taxpayers?
Say that one more time.
Yeah. Can you show us a financial analysis that demonstrates, and I don't expect you to have this like right now, that demonstrates that going out and lowering your prices outside of your district was making money and benefited your taxpayers?
Absolutely.
Okay. If you can show that lowering your prices outside of your district makes money, then why are you not lowering the millage or the sanitation fee to benefit your taxpayers?
That if we didn't have that outside money coming in, we would end up having to raise our millage or fees to cover costs. That's the whole point of doing it.
Yeah. Give me a little bit on that, on why you purchased that 156 acres off of 124.
We originally owned 120 acres, I think it was, down on Old Piedmont Highway. And at that particular point in time, that property was littered with problems, okay?
They
We
can't
had-
hear you, Steve. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
When we purchased
It's a
that.
good pun, though, littered with problems.
It was,
Very topical.
it was contaminated, and there was a lot of cleanup effort that went in to remove tires that were buried and everything else on that property. Well, it was used as a grinding facility at the time, which was sucking money down left and right. So we closed it, and we started shipping that yard waste down to the landfill. So it cut our costs from almost $1 million a year down to about $450 a year, which is what we wanted to do. Okay. When one day we got a phone call from, I think it was either Kevin Landmesser, one of the guys from GADC, and said, "Would you be willing to sell that property?" We said, I guess anything's possible. I mean, you know, what you got in mind? Well, after that, we started receiving some unsolicited offers from some folks in Charlotte on behalf of a warehouse group as well as Southeastern Freight Lines. And they wanted to buy the property. They made us a very good offer on the property, a lot more than we ever paid for it. And plus, it was going to allow us to get out of the debt that we were carrying from a revenue bond at the time. So we sold the property, and we started looking for property because we had already been talking about a potentially new location for admin, operations, maintenance facility. And we came upon the property over there on 124. The original intent was to purchase the one parcel, just the largest parcel. And then once we bought it and we were talking one day, I said, you know what, guys, I said, the bigger buffer we can have between us and everybody else, it doesn't matter what we're doing, is going to be better. So we purchased the property to the right that was between the existing property and the VFW, and we purchased the property on the back for a buffer between us and the community on the back side of the property. Okay. And at that point in time, we've got drawings that we submitted. You'll hear tales of us, you know, saying we weren't going to build it. We weren't going to build a transfer station, and then we did. Mr. Cornell will tell you, Paula Gooker, she was here as well. We were having conversations at that particular point in time about possibly using the Blackberry Valley landfill as a transfer station. Okay. We only had one problem. Everything that was going on over there, the landfill has trash buried all the way up to the road. So from the standpoint of being able to build on it, the feasibility for foundation was a no-go. We had already gone through the BZA approval for an exception, because that's what we have to do since we're a government agency, to build an admin operations and maintenance facility. And those plans are on file. And then once we found out that that was going to be a no-go over at Blackberry Valley, I went back to the commissioners and said, hey, we ultimately need to build a transfer station, give a little bit more efficiency to what we got going on here. We started the process, put those plans in place, and came back to the BZA in order to get the approval to put the transfer station on the property.
Okay. Did you have any long-term debt on that property, or did you pay for it all in cash? All cash? Okay. Yeah, you're great.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
No, we paid for that in cash.
Yeah. And so, are you planning to expand Greater Greenville? Like, your services across? Like, I mean, not for, like, let's say, like, what is it, 4 years that you can't annex people? Is that what you were saying, per the
Yeah, well, we
agreement
can
with the
annex
state?
somebody that's contiguous. We just can't
Contiguous,
do
yeah, yeah.
non-contiguous
Okay.
annexation.
But you are looking to continue to annex properties?
If someone comes to us, we have 3 annexations on the books right now.
Okay. All right, well, if you have no plans to expand, then do you have plans to dispose of the excess acreage to reduce the cost to the taxpayers?
Actually, about half of that property on the backside is unbuildable. It is kind of swampy back there.
Okay.
And at the same time, part of the situation going on with this amendment right here is they want us to put a good bit of that into a conservation easement.
Got it. Okay. Do you agree to the plan to build the transfer station and related buildings and the new headquarters building will cause a substantial tax increase?
It will cause about a 3 mil tax increase. And again, looking at, I provided that information before, but if you look at that average home value, that median home value and whatnot, what you're really talking about is about $25 to $30 a year.
Right. Yep. Talk me through how the commission went about analyzing the costs and benefits of the new campus.
I gave them spreadsheets, talked about how many trucks we could take off the road. We currently have 14 automated side loaders on the road.
Hey, pardon me real quick. Everybody in the crowd can't hear. Is there a way we can turn the mic up? I don't know. Is there anything we can do? Maybe give him a mic? There we go. I don't think T is going to speak on Greater Greenville, so we'll use his mic. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Also, I was wondering if that's a better question for the board, or would we want to hear the board answer that, or?
I mean, I'm not afraid of them chiming in.
Okay.
I talked to them about how many trucks we could take off the road. Gave a synopsis of, we have 14 automated side loaders on the road every day. We have 6 rear loaders on the road every day, and we have 10 front loaders on the road every day. And as soon as we're able to start taking it to a transfer station, we should be able to cut at least 4 to 5 automated side loaders, 2 rear loaders, and 3 front loaders. And that's pretty substantial, not having to replace that equipment over the course of the next few years. Not to mention the personnel we're not losing. We would basically take those personnel who are currently Class A CDL drivers and move them over to the transfer station. So we're not talking about cutting employees. We're talking about reassigning them.
Okay. And so what about the excess trucks that you're going to be having, like front loaders and all that stuff? What's going on with them? Are they you still just going to maintain them and just kind of cycle them out? Or?
We would keep them as spares.
Okay, cool. Would you agree that the presentation made to the previous council was extraordinarily light on the details as to what all y'all were trying to do?
With respect to, I mean.
With the bond and the transfer station and everything?
Yeah, I mean, we had our attorneys here, we had a host of people here, and we came prepared. We made the presentation and allowed for questions. And
I've got a presentation right here. It's just not the fleshiest one I've seen, so just wanted your personal opinion on whether you thought that it was a little skinny or if it was adequately detailed.
I think what the presentation that was given in this room was given for the purposes of telling what effect the bond was going to have, and I'm pretty sure those were given out to each member of the Finance Subcommittee at the time.
Have you got a pro forma income statement over the 5 to 20 years to show us if we asked for it?
For just in general?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Was there an independent consultant who assisted with a financial and operational analysis?
No.
No? Okay. And can you show us the financial calculation that showed a significant savings by venturing on the new campus as opposed to staying on the old one, particularly the creation of a new headquarters?
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's twofold. One is the amount of money that we can get for 12 acres that's sitting downtown Greenville, according to the real estate folks that we've talked about, we've talked to thus far, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 to $12 million.
Right.
And I mean, that's 4 or 5 times what we paid for the property on Highway 124.
Yeah,
So we've got a way to be able to offset that, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yep, and I'm good with my questions. Anybody else got anything?
Madam Chairwoman?
I don't have
Okay.
anything. Absolutely.
Mr. Ernst, we had spoke on the phone a few weeks ago. There was and I got a lot of feedback on this situation where there was a gift situations a while back. There was a gift situation about some watches given or some other gifts. Could you explain that situation to the committee and to the public and what you're doing to prevent such a situation in the future, please?
What was it? I'm sorry, did you say
Gifts for board members and things like that. We had spoke on the phone about that, and then I asked you about that previously. Could you?
About the gifts you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Just make sure the public can hear you, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
I think you did.
There you go, you guys. Man, I didn't even send you my question. All right. If you could elaborate on that,
Okay.
that'd be great.
You got me?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Some years ago, right after I was on the commission, I was asked to look at credit cards. It's one of my, not subcommittee, but something. And then I found a charge on there for a camera lens, which I approached Mr. Cole, asked him. And that's when we found out the departing commissioners got gifts. We didn't vote on them. We didn't know about them. But anyway, I guess kind of spoken behind, just quietly that when you left, you got a gift. So I was chairman at the time. I contacted the other commissioners, talked to them individually, said this is not a good practice. We need to stop it. We all agreed and we stopped it. That was 5 years ago. Nobody going forward will get anything from the commission. I looked at it like anybody that's on any commission in Greenville has to make a concerted effort to get there. You know, you just don't go out and grab somebody like at church to be on the building committee. So why should you expect some gift for something you wanted to do?
Correct.
So we stopped that. That made good sense. So we stopped it. Then there was a question about the budget retreats that we did. And so I looked at that and I said, well, you know, the Greenville County Council goes on budget retreats. In fact, when the sheriff messed up, previous sheriff with his co-worker, they were on a budget retreat in Charlotte. It said in the paper, but nothing was mentioned about the council or Greenville County going out of state and having a budget retreat in North Carolina. We had done that. It had happened before I ever came on there. I mean, that was a practice that they went somewhere. One time might be somewhere close in Georgia or in North Carolina, you know, and it wasn't far, but they did that. And, you know, we'd get together, people would meet their wives and husbands or whatever, and it was a good couple of days, you know, to meet the family of the people. That's just what I looked at it like. You know, I hadn't really thought about it. It was going on before I got there, but I said, really, we could stop this. So in the last 5 years, last few years, we met in our office at Greater Greenville. Didn't go anywhere. So all that stuff has stopped. It should never have happened. I agree with you. Never should have happened. But once you become aware of it, you've got to stop it. You just can't continue, just like if our council folks find something wrong in Greenville County, you can't be responsible. It was done before you really came involved. And, you know, none of the commissioners at Greater Greenville now has gotten any gifts, you know, stuff like that. You know, it doesn't happen.
Okay, awesome. Mr. Cannell, is that true that the county had a budget workshop in Charlotte? Is that a true statement?
No, the sheriff.
The sheriff did,
and
but
the county council did not.
Okay, I just want to make sure and clarify
I'm
that.
sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, I want to make sure that doesn't get out of the public that county council had a meeting
We
in
have
Charlotte.
had retreats down in, down at Newberry.
Right.
A couple places like that.
Correct.
Over the years, but they've been few and far between.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that because you said that. And I wanted to make
but
sure
that's
that
what
wasn't
got
out
me
there.
that, you know, because I read about that in the paper about that
Sure.
time, and then I saw what was the big, you know, uproar that we were getting all the attention, you know, and I said we shouldn't be doing it. I agree, but you know, it went on and on and on for some time.
Okay,
so,
great.
But like I said, all that's been stopped. There's no money spent on trips.
No gifts or trips.
No
That's
gifts
fine.
whatsoever.
Excellent. Great. That's great to hear.
No, sir.
Hey, help me understand, you know, you were created, obviously there was an issue back when the Greater Greenville Sanitation District was created because there wasn't an efficient trash pickup collection in the county. It was disorganized, you know, back in that time. Help me understand now in 2025 and the free market economy, how a government mandated entity provides better service than the free market. Help me understand that. Help the constituents understand that.
Well, we were set up. I wasn't
And
there.
please speak into the microphone so everybody
We
can
weren't
hear you.
there, obviously. I wasn't. But when the Greater Greenville Sanitation was set up, we served the needs of the customers. Now, just like some people might say, well, I don't really need Greater Greenville, you're talking about. But if you had no Greater Greenville when the storm hit last October, our trucks were out all day into the late hours of the night, picking up all that debris and hauling it off for weeks, you know, helping, you know, getting all that out of our district. And if you asked the regular trash carriers to do that, they wouldn't be able. Most of the independent trash carriers have trash trucks. They don't have a knuckle boom. They don't have the tractors and equipment and flatbeds to haul all that stuff off. So you need us, and then just like they don't provide that normally. So every year when people do their yard work in the spring like now, and they put all the stuff out front, it would stay there unless I don't know where they would put it, you know, what the people do, because I live in the district and I travel in that area, I see that. So I know what happens there, we pick it up. Or if somebody purchases a new bedroom suit and they leave the old couch and it looks bad out front, we pick it up immediately. Somebody buys a new refrigerator and they got a Toyota, they can't carry the old one to the landfill, so they just push it out front and we pick that up.
Okay, so if you were citizens, I have a neighborhood in my district that they were trying to be annexed by you, the homeowner association, and there was a, you know, to understand an annexation, you need a 50+1 vote in that neighborhood to make it happen. How would you feel as a taxpayer in that, or a citizen in that neighborhood where you were on that 49% and now you're charged with these fees and how would you feel if you got annexed against your choice and now you're forced to make a decision? Is that you think that's a fair practice for people to be into?
Well, quite frankly, we didn't set those rules.
I know. I'm just. I didn't ask you. I'm strictly. I'm not asking you a law. I'm
Yeah.
asking you an opinion.
Well, no, I would probably be a little pissed off about it. I wanted to circle back on the first question.
Sure,
that you
absolutely,
had,
please.
And you were asking, why is there a need? If you look in some of the lower income neighborhoods that are around Greenville County, if it were left up to a lot of those homeowners,
Yeah.
number one, they would not purchase garbage service from anyone. Okay. We have it bad enough right now in some of those lower income areas where the stuff that gets put out on the curb gets piled up. And this lady right over here, he should gamble, as well as if I hear from Joe or well, if I hear from any of you guys, we go take care of it. And most of the time it's not where someone has decided, hey, I'm just going to put, a bag of trash out beside the trash can. They're
Okay.
going to put half a house out there.
Right.
So,
Okay. One more question for
Yeah.
you. Are you guys amicable to dropping the millage in lieu of a flat fee per customer?
we were actually in favor of that, talked to the state legislature about it. The problem is going to a flat fee would obviously raise the rate for those in the lower income areas and lower the rate for those in the more affluent areas.
Mr. McKinney,
Understood.
I don't know if you know this, but like Chanticleer, a very nice neighborhood, and Liz's district, they're part of the Greater Greenville district, and all those homes are $1 million plus, so they really do subsidize a lot for the lower income areas. Not telling you that's right or wrong. I'm just telling you that's how it works.
I agree. I mean, I have mixed feelings on that whole situation. But okay, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Hey, first of all, to our board members, thank you very much for volunteer. I know y'all volunteer, and Steve's a good guy. We're personal friends outside of this issue, but I'm just trying to tackle the questions of the day here. Getting back to our lead board member, are you chairman, Mr.? Is it?
No, we rotate that around.
Okay, and
Different ones, different people have different qualifications, so we'd like to get input from different people instead of one person doing it for 5 or 10 years.
okay, but you're Mr. Ernst, I guess. I just wanted to give you the respect of thank you guys for coming out, all three of you, really. This isn't an easy thing for you, I'm sure. My question is, Mr. Ernst, I believe, referred to the enabling legislation and said that it envisions expanding outside of the district. I think Mr. Cole gave us this, and I do not see that in here. Is that a play on words on the purpose of the district?
It says that you can do non-district, out-of-district customers.
And I don't want to debate that. I just didn't see it in there.
Page 7.
Okay. Well, then, based on that, say let's assume that's true. Oh, it's a second. So you gave me an old.
No, I give you both of them.
Okay. Okay. Let's assume that's true. Okay.
It
The
is.
board members. Okay, so this was I guess it was a later version of it, or anyway, to the two board members. Do you understand at least the concept of unfair advantage, that if one district or one entity has tax-free benefits, has the benefit of a guaranteed millage income and service fees, that heck, yes, we should be providing better service than everybody else because we have an unfair competitive advantage. We doggone well better be, and you do. You provide a great service. That's not the issue here. The issue is a government agency competing with the private sector that does not have those benefits. Do you at least understand that issue in this to the board members?
We've got to be the best. We've got to provide better service, meaning that we do the yard waste, the bulk waste, the things that the other carriers don't usually do. We provide better services, as you just alluded to, and we
Yes.
try to be the best provider that there can be, because I understand that, And
Right,
it's
I mean,
also the same way that, private schools compete with our public schools, and they try to survive and offer an alternative. But they're not forced, most people have to pay school taxes, and the people that want to go send their kids to private school have to do that in addition to paying school tax.
Okay, would you think Greenville County is better served if Greater Greenville Sanitation serves the entire county? And
Yes,
there's no
sir.
Okay, you absolutely agree with
I
that?
think we'd be good if we could serve
And
the
other-
whole county.
Okay, so you would be in favor of us being a one provider, Greater Greenville Sanitation is the only way of garbage pickup in Greenville County?
Yes, with the county oversight like y'all to provide to make sure that we do a good job, because we work for the county and the county council provides the oversight. If we're doing something wrong,
Okay.
then you would just like handle that. You would make sure we complied with all the things that you expected of us.
Understood. I just want to make that clear that that's what the philosophy, your philosophy,
I
and
mean,
your.
my thinking, it could be totally different than yours.
I'm not saying. I think y'all have beautiful trucks. You do a beautiful service. I haven't heard complaints about the service you do. The question is it an unfair advantage, and is it an artificial construct that we have where we have a very a government company that has much easier rails to ride on than the private sector as a result of tax issues, as a result of the law. That's it. I'm not saying anything bad about what y'all do. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, because I do think we do a good job, and it's just like consolidating the fire departments. I live over near Furman, and there's a Berea Fire Department, and they were, the sewer services and all that were all different. So county council combined all those services into Metro. So you made it all the same. Now, somebody might say my sanitation bill or my sewer bill was cheaper with Berea, but I'm paying more now that I'm Metro Connects, which I am. I'm paying more with Metro Connects, but that's what way it is, because you've got to provide good service. And I haven't had any problems with Metro Connects. So that's why I say if you have one carrier, everybody gets the same service and you pay similar fees, and it may be based on millage or a flat fee, whichever. But I see that can have an advantage rather than have one police department in this little neighborhood and one in another. Have one.
Yeah, no, I understand. I think you answered it well.
Mr. Ernst, what's your cost to serve per customer?
I'm sorry.
What's your cost per customer for service? Average cost per customer. So if you totaled, say if you had 100,000 customers, what's the cost to serve every one of those? If you divide it evenly amongst all of them, what's the cost to serve a customer?
The charges are individually like about $35, $30
Per year.
About $390 a year per customer.
Per customer.
That's a month. What I was saying.
$390 a year. Okay.
One more question, please. And again, I'm only asking the board members because I feel like actually that's the only one we really have any kind of jurisdiction of even asking these questions. But
Yes, sir.
the health insurance, you're a board appointed by us. We appoint all kinds of boards for different reasons. None of them get health insurance. Do they offer you health insurance to be a board member?
Yes, sir. And they also, in the legislation you looked at.
I'm not arguing if it's legal or not. I'm just asking,
it's legal. But the fire districts all get it.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me just again, well, that's why I prefaced it with, we have to select you guys. Okay.
Yes,
we have to select you on your abilities, your background, motivations maybe even, and maybe not conflicts of interest, but even the appearance. We've not put people on boards because we said there's an appearance of impropriety. Do you think that granting board members health insurance creates an appearance of impropriety?
No, sir. I don't think nothing about it, because I know that.
We're not being provided health insurance.
He just said you were.
Let me speak to something that's been going on since before I got there in 2010 and way before these guys.
First, clear up what's going on now, please. Are you offered as board members health insurance?
We're offered a stipend to pay for the insurance ourselves.
Okay, are you able to tell us how?
We could go on the open market and get whichever one we want.
Okay, so right now, as it stands, you are offered a stipend. How much is that every month?
About $1,100, and the reason
$1,100 a month. I just want to get the facts out here. Okay.
But we weren't allowed to go on the state insurance. When we went on state insurance, you had to be a full-time employee,
My issue is not the quality of the insurance, but I just want to be clear. If you're on the board of Greater Greenville Sanitation, you are offered $1,100 a month for insurance.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No other board gets that I'm aware of. Maybe they do, but I'm not aware of any other board that gets it. Our zoning board, our planning commission.
Have you
none of
looked at
these-
Metro Connects or the?
Maybe that's another
the board.
utility. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's all.
All right. If all your questions have been answered, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So explain to me about how the businesses in your district are charged millage, or however you charge them. I'm assuming it's just millage, but it could be a flat fee as well. How are they charged and not receiving a service? How is that done, or why is that done?
We've got a list of businesses, and you charge the different businesses different amounts. You know what I'm talking about? Like residential customers, commercial customers, and there are different fee structures there. Am I correct? I seem to remember that.
The commercial customers, there are quite a few commercial customers in our district who have national contracts.
Okay.
And they might have a contract through Waste Management or Public Services or whoever the case may be. And a lot of those instances, they get service from the privates, and then we also kind of add to that if they call us and say, hey, I need pickup on such and such days. There are certain times where the national contracts they have, they pull the can out there and we still service it. At the same time, there are roll-off customers, compactor customers. We do not offer that service. Those folks do get charged the millage and fees because they are in the district. So yes, that does happen.
One apartment owner mentioned that they were charged over $100,000, and it's online in our council meeting. So how do you justify that type of cost if they're not getting a service?
Not to deflect that, but it's just like a gentleman was mentioning that there's a business over on White Horse Road getting charged $32,000 in millage for being in our district. They also get charged $440,000 for being in the Greenville County School District.
Right.
And they don't have that company doesn't have any kids
Right.
in school. And
Right.
they also pay an additional, I think it's $131,000 to park, fire, and sewer.
Right.
So I mean, it's the same premise. I mean, is the system not good? No, it's not. I'll be the first one to say that. It'd be much better if everybody paid a flat fee. The problem is it's not going to be fair and equitable across the board as soon as that happens because, again, lower the cost for the more affluent, raise the cost for the lower income areas.
But anyone that's not receiving a service and can't, based on the type of business they are, that's a whole different ball game. So, it's an expensive cost to their business, and when you go through what we've been through the last 5 years, it can make a difference on a lot of things, staying open, closed, depending on the business. So, just trying to understand if you have a commercial client that they're not putting off any more garbage than the average household, why would you not provide just a typical pick up a few
And we will.
thing? You will?
We have commercial customers who get service with the roll carts as opposed to 8-yard dumpsters. It
Okay.
just depends on the service need.
Okay.
So, may I ask if you're suggesting if I'm just slightly more successful and more affluent, I should pay more for services?
No, I'm not saying that
That's
at all.
what you said.
What I'm saying is that under the current system, you do pay more if you're in the more affluent areas, and you pay less.
And that's fair?
No, I just said that. No, I do not think
okay.
it's fair.
Just making sure. Okay.
Do you have the ability to change that system as board of directors? Who is set?
No, I
No, they
don't
can't.
have the ability to
State
change
law.
that.
Okay.
Mr. Cole, that goes through state legislature, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
One last question. Do you have the power to suggest a change to the system to your legislature?
Oh, sure. We did.
Okay. And they said no?
Correct.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. This is what we're trying to do is, excuse me. My only question is, I don't vow to the idea, and I don't think Mr. Shaw was indicating that, but to grow a service of a government And I applaud your enthusiasm where we do it and do it best, and that's our goal, and that's great. But the way you can do it best, and you're doing it best, is because you're charging a millage and a fee that a private business cannot get the millage for. Most of them don't have beautiful trucks, as you do, commendable. But that's a difference, and that's why I definitely do not advocate for growing a government service that's piggybacked off of millage. Because if I live in a house that's getting 300, whatever the millage rate is, as opposed to someone that doesn't get a millage very high, comparable, my trash is bought probably from the same store. I just think that's a misconception as far as there. And I am working with the legislatures to change some of those. So, but I do appreciate your time, but I don't think trash should have a millage attached to it. That's my opinion, but thank you so much for your time.
And I've got one more question. With the properties that are in your district that are not contiguous, what's happening with them? Are they staying within your district, or?
They're staying as part of the district.
So will you be able to annex properties that are right next to those uncontiguous spaces?
Yes, because at that point in time, they are contiguous to our district.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you guys for coming, taking your time, giving us some clarification on these items.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We appreciate it so much. Next item is Next item is questions regarding the creation of the UDO.
Okay, thank you. And the reason I had this put on the agenda was because in our initial discussion, when we went through the cycle back January-ish, it was in discussion of the cow, there were questions that we wanted to get answered, and I know time is the essence there at the time, but now we've given more oversight to that as a committee. So, and the only thing was we presented those with a timeline on it. It's not today, tomorrow, next week, just sometime where the suspense date that we would like to have those answered, our questions answered. And I think it's very adequate in the time frame, unless you have an objection.
We have them. We have answers for you.
Okay.
Today.
You do. Okay.
Yeah. I just got these the end of last week. I think you didn't end up sending them to my email. They went through a route to get to me, and it finally got to me, so we were able to get on it and get the answers for
Right.
you.
And if I may address the routing, because of my extensive training on becoming an administrative counselor, I did not get that administrative block of training. So therefore, I'm not an administrative assistant or executive. So I submitted them as I was instructed to, and the dispense can go through that channel. Forgive me.
Not a problem.
Yes,
I'm not
sir.
either. So
Yes.
for me to get it and figure it out,
So
it took
there
a while
or
too.
there, I still know how the difference is.
Yeah.
Amen.
Absolutely. If you want, I mean, we've got answers to each of these, and if it'd be helpful, I've got all the support, a copy for each of you also. But if I could just go through each question, give you the
Absolutely.
answer, and then come back to if you all have questions or anything, because this, keep in mind, this is roughly 5 years old where this all started. It was a previous time and all that, but we were able to, secure the records and get you answers.
Okay.
So the first question, when did we, the county, decide to replace the existing development ordinance and land development regulation, LDR? There's been discussion over the years about this because of problems we had with the conflict between the two documents. And so the actual idea came about from the comprehensive plan in 2019. Next question was, why did planning staff, planning commission not work collectively to fix the existing zoning ordinance and LDRs? The existing zoning ordinance and LDR date back to 2005. Since that time, the number of revisions that have been made created a situation where the ordinances were often in conflict. As Greenville County grew, the ordinances failed to keep up with the best practices. Through the comp plan process, it was recommended that the county could help alleviate these frequent conflicts and implement a unified development ordinance. For example, from September 2018 to present, staff has worked with council on 19 text amendments to the zoning ordinance alone. During the same time, staff, planning commissioners, and council have worked collectively to adopt numerous UDO recommendations into our current ordinances, including agriculture preservation, zoning, tiny home ordinance, riparian buffers, septic lot regulations, etc. Key provisions of the UDO have been adopted through the years. Next question was, who decided to solicit consultant companies to bid? Staff in consultation with Planning Commission and County Council. Did we utilize the procurement process? Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Administrator.
Yeah.
When it says who decided to solicit a consultant company, how many responded to the bid?
I'll get to that. That's in a further
Okay,
question.
okay,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah, we've got that. We did utilize the procurement process. How many companies replied to the bid for solicitation? 2 responses, White and Smith LLC and Calfee Strategic Solutions doing business as Calfee Zoning responded. The next question was, who was involved in vetting of such bids? These were actually RFPs, requests for proposals. They're a little different than a bid. They're not just based on price, they're based on qualifications and a number of other aspects that are pointed out prior to it being put out there. The evaluation team included Sarah Holt, who was planning director, Keith Rockington, GPATS, Tyler Stone, long-range planning manager, Paula Gucker, assistant county administrator for community planning and development, Dean Campbell, deputy county attorney, and Mark Tollison, county attorney. Who was involved solely or in part with selecting the winning company? The evaluation team, all those people I just mentioned, plus the procurement director to make sure we're in compliance with our purchasing policies. What, if any, previous work did the winning company have within the UDO field? In White and Smith's proposal, the company indicated a multitude of experience with several zoning and land development ordinances in other counties and cities, 36 major projects in the last 5 years. The next question was, what was the dollar amount for the overall project? The original contract value was $315,700. The final amended total was $372,450. What was the winning bid numbers, financial payment given by the winning company? That's what we just reported there. What were the prescribed directives given to the chosen company? It was outlined in the request for proposals and what their scope of work would be. And you'll see it in the magnitude of paper that we have for you. Were there any inspection points to check, verify quality during the process? There were multiple regular meetings that occurred throughout the process, including staff advisory meetings, stakeholder meetings, council workshops, planning commission workshops, public workshops, open houses, etc. Who was assigned to oversee the quality checkpoints? Multiple staff members, including the planning director, the long-range planning manager, the assistant county administrator for community planning, development, and public works. In fact, Mr. Shaw had requested county council appoint him as liaison. He had requested, I'm not sure whatever happened with that. I just saw your email where you asked to be the kind of the go-between or whatever, and that was back in 2020 or 21, I believe.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
How come no action was taken on that? Did you do that? Did you perform that function, Councilor Shaw?
That was with council members.
Well,
that was.
Yeah, and briefly, I always wanted to see what was going on with it. I was just, a lot of it was out of curiosity and just try to figure out, I thought we had paid for it. I'm just trying to figure out what's the progress. And I thought there was a response to that, but it seemed sporadic.
There was responses from different council members. I didn't even see all that, but I heard about it. Next question was, request a copy of all inputs items received for the creation of the UDO from every discipline involved. We're not sure exactly what you were asking there. We have some ideas, but we didn't want to assume.
No, that's
anything.
fine, that's fine. My question was, like if there's a builders or developers, a group submitted so many changes or recommendations as opposed to the public meetings from the constituents, how many did they get? Did you receive from them or as a collective body?
Okay.
So,
We have all that information. In fact, we've got a box full of responses that we got from all different aspects. When we had the public
Sure.
meetings, people could write in, people could email in. Did we have a website set up for that? I can't remember. But we did have a lot of public input opportunities, and that could include developers and citizens and whoever. What is the total county tax dollars invested in UDO to date? $372,450. What was the defined time frame, dollar amount, penalty associated with for missing either stated goals? This was not an infrastructure type project, so we did not have a time frame because, quite frankly, we didn't know how much time we're going to request of them to do it because a lot of it was based on what we wanted in the way of public meetings, council workshops, planning commission workshops. We told them we're going to have a lot of extra meetings to make sure that this information gets out. So we did not try to hold their feet to the fire because we were driving the boat. Okay, what was the UDO in delay for any time reason? We separated the project into 3 modules. Module 1 was zoning. Module 2 was development standards and LDRs. Module 3 was administration/procedures. As we got deeper into the process, it became clear that Module 2 had to be split into 2A and 2B, that's the development standards and LDRs, in order to facilitate meaningful and appropriate input from the Planning Commission, Council, and the public. That's what caused a lot of the time that it took to put this together. Was the UDO created around the current comprehensive plan? Yes, the UDO was intended to implement the comprehensive plan. Has anyone on Greenville County staff or any part of the process creating the UDO worked for the select company in any capacity? Yes. T. Coker, sitting at my left, worked for MKSK, a sub-consultant on the White and Smith team. However, he did not participate in any UDO-related meetings or work because he was hired by Greenville County on June 29, 2020, prior to them starting. Number 20, was the administrator aware of the idea of developing and financing of the UDO? Absolutely. How did the planning department have $400K in the budget to fund new initiative UDO? It was covered by the Community Planning, Development, and Public Works Department budget overall. Remember, this was council's idea. They were all pushing to get something done to create a bridge, so to speak, between the zoning ordinance and the LDR. 22. Did they have a line item? No, it came out of their budget. And like I said, we have copies of all the requests for proposals, the responses, any of that type documentation, the contract, the agreement. We also have, I just made one copy because of the amount of it, of the public comments and the different types of comments we got back for y'all to do what you want with it. If you want a copy for everyone, we'll be glad to do it. We just didn't have it for today.
Okay.
I do have a copy of all this for you today.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Thank you.
This for T and Hisha more mainly would be if we know we had problems with the LDRs and the zoning, what was the, and I'm asking for your opinion here. This isn't a yes or no or black or white question. What was the pushback from council to not change those, or why was there not? I mean, I've engaged with I'm hey, let's fix them. What was in your opinion? Why would council not want to fix it and just create a whole new document?
That's what the fix is.
So it was a whole new document,
Right, because we had two different documents, and we were having conflicts. So they try to adjust one, but then it raises more issues over here. Mr. Shaw has been around in a number of lawsuits that occurred because of conflicts, and thinking, well, we went with this one. Well, it was in violation of this one. So there's just a lot of back and forth, and that happens with these type of documents over time. When you have two separate documents, and you get focused on one area and try to correct that one area, well, then it may open a whole new set of problems over here in the other document. So after back and forth, I mean, I've been hearing this for years and years and years. We got to do something. We got to figure out a way to fix this. The UDO, and you can call it whatever you want. You know, the Unified Development Ordinance was just what they came up with.
Right.
There's nothing magic about it. It could be
It just combines the
Greenville
documents.
County zoning and development ordinance, quite frankly, and it covers it all. So this is the solution to the problem.
I guess, and from a constituent that I got a lot of emails on is why the push to pass it in December so hard when there was obviously there wasn't a huge, and that's not, you guys wouldn't know that answer, but that is a concern that everyone has. What has been done since the UDO was tabled to make any improvements?
Well, we've gotten some comments back from some council members, and so we've been looking to incorporate those or see what that does. You know, some things it can't happen without causing a whole bunch of other problems.
Okay.
Some are very easy fixes. Some are just
Sure, absolutely.
what you call some. So we're trying to gather what you all want and incorporate it in.
Okay, Mr. Thank you, Mr. That's perfect. Mr. Antley, and I'm not putting you on the hot chair here. Since the county was incepted in the 70s, when they passed that, how many times has the county been sued for the LDRs?
I'm going to have to come back with you with that
I mean,
information. I don't have that at the top of my head.
In over 50 years,
Yeah.
how many times have we been sued for those
I-
specific things?
I don't even have that information like currently. That would take me some digging.
How about in the past 5 years?
Well, I have that information upstairs, but I don't have it.
I mean, off the top of your head?
No,
Are we talking
no.
50? 100?
Off the LDR?
Less than 10?
No, 50, 100. It'd be,
50 to
if I
100?
had to guess in the last 5 years, maybe 15, 20.
Maybe 15.
Yeah.
How many of those have we won?
Probably half.
So maybe, okay.
We get beat a lot on this.
Well, sure, but I'm saying not everyone. Okay. Are we, and one more question are we required, say for the LD, if it says, hey, if you meet A, B, C, and D, you may be approved to build. Do we have to approve every application if it meets all the standards? Are we obligated by law to approve a permit request?
One thing I want to just bring out here right now, why I'm being a little hesitant. I want to remind this committee that we are currently involved in a lawsuit concerning the Unified Development Ordinance right now.
I understand, yes.
And we're starting to get into questions which I would say advising, first of all, this body, but also the council as a whole, that would be better set for executive session
Okay.
in light of the fact that we're engaged in active litigation right now on this very issue.
Okay.
Madam Chair, yeah, and Mr. Attorney, that was not the intent as we talked lengthily in our discussion before the agenda was filed. But my question is, and this is going to be very simple because I'm a simple type of guy. I've got a 200-page ordinance. I got LDRs. And the main concern when I've asked questions about it, they don't communicate. Okay? And I got the best, the brightest planning staff, planning commission. You know, how active was the planning commission in this would be another sidebar. But my question is, so I've got let's say a total of 300 pages maybe that can't communicate. And I've got some of the industry leaders here in the county that represent, and I understand that. But we decided we can't make 300 pages talk, so we're going to make 600 pages that don't talk. Do you see my logic? And I'm not trying to be ugly. I'm just saying, I don't get it. Because when it went to pass, well, it's not perfect. Well, neither was the other one. So we spent $370-some thousand to get a product that is not perfect and is not finished, and we can amend it once we pass it. We've been down that road before. In the last 5 lawsuits I looked up for the last 4 years, 3 of them we decided not to pursue because it would cost too much money. Anyway, but that's just a sidebar too. But my question is, I really don't understand that. So, and I think that's why we're in the position we are now. So, and from an administrative point, but yes.
Well, that's what this document does. It bridges the gap. Now, you may not agree with it, what's all in there and everything, because some things have changed over the years, how things are being done across the country, in South Carolina, wherever it may be. So, at the end of the day, it's not one way's right and one way's wrong. Based on this, though, we think it's better than where we were.
Right.
And we don't know, obviously, if it could have been fixed with amendments over the years. That's what caused the problems, quite frankly. The more amendments that occurred, the situations change, the community has changed. And so to say, well, why didn't you just make them talk? That's been tried for years and years and years, and they couldn't. So the UDO is where they went. And this was sanctioned by county council.
No,
Not this county council,
I understand.
but the previous one. Or actually, it could have been
The
one
one
and a
before
half
that.
ago. So the point is, staff was just doing what we were being
Sure.
told to do. And to give county council a tool with which to work. Now, whether we agree with it or not, that doesn't matter at the end of the day. You know, the UDO has a lot of positive points to it. It has some not so positive points. A document like that's hard to get 100% buy-in by, as you know. So, you know, you all can change some of it, change all of it, not approve it. That's totally up to county council. But to get you there, we did exactly what was requested of us to get there.
Right, and I appreciate that. And like I said, a lot of things that are in the UDO that when I go through the comprehensive plan seems to be an addition to maybe a projected new comprehensive plan, because it is not 100% by the comprehensive plan, in my opinion, from a non-certified special planner.
Well, there again, and that's natural, quite frankly, because you're dealing with laws, you're dealing with a plan versus laws. And, okay, and regulations. The plan is this is kind of how we'd like to see it go, how we'd like to see the community develop and exist as we go forward. This is how you get it there. Now, there's never going to be perfect sync with it, quite frankly. And like I said, things change as time changes, as development community kind of forces us to change. They get creative and do things better, more efficient, and try to, you know, put homes in different places like we never thought could happen. Developments occur in different ways like that. So, you know, our policies usually lag behind, our regulations usually lag behind a little bit. And so this is trying to catch them up and get them where they're, what we're dealing with today, and hopefully in the future.
I have a question. Can you tell me, do you still have the training material where you went out to the community? Like, I don't know if you did PowerPoints, handouts, various other, y'all still have any of that training information available?
Yeah. Yes, Ms. Chairwoman. So we do, I spent some time this morning looking through our shared drive, and we've got, and that's where I was able to pull some documents for your review. We have PowerPoint presentations, we have documents, we've got sign-in sheets, for public meetings. We've got spreadsheets full of comments that were provided by the public on note cards that planning staff transcribed into spreadsheets and then provided responses for. So, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of pages. And so I would say, especially early on, it was a very well documented planning process. And we also even have recordings of Zoom meetings, so just full-on conversations with county council, with stakeholders, workshops. We have it all.
Okay. I would like to request, if you could do this, to put out on our website the training material. That would help.
If you wouldn't mind, I mean, I'm not quite sure I understand training material.
Well, when you presented to the public, how you presented it and how it would help with understanding of it.
Sure.
So,
sure.
like, anybody that wanted to understand the UDO. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
We can
Thank you.
put just a document out there that I'm sure we have more than one, but one that would kind of review, summarize.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
We have a project webpage currently. We'll go in and look at that and then see about adding the presentations. They may already be there. Some of them may already
Okay.
be there, but we can definitely do that. And
Okay.
anything we can do to, get the information out there. We actually have a summary for you. Engagement summary is what we call it.
Okay.
Talks about the community meetings and workshops, project webpage, staff engagement throughout the process, and gives you a lot of breakdown. You can see this started back in 2020.
Okay.
And it's probably still going today.
Gotcha.
So it's been around a while. But it does give you a lot of the checkpoints as we went through it.
All right. And last question for me. Where were these workshops held? Were they held here at the county square, or were they held in the?
All over, yes, in the community, county square, the old county square, of course.
Can you tell me
We've
what
had some
communities?
here. I think we have had some in this building. We did.
Well, this
on.
building and then the old
Oh,
building,
yeah.
obviously.
But then around the community, we traveled
yeah.
around
And
went.
during the start, so during that, as the administrator mentioned, I was originally on the consultant team, but I never worked on the project. But I remember I had a week off in between. It was the week of the June 24th, and I remember being at home painting the shed, and I was watching these Zoom meetings. So remember, this was in the middle of COVID and
Right.
in-person meetings. I'm not even sure if county council was meeting in person at that time. So that's why we have Zoom recordings of all
Right.
those early meetings, because they were 100% online. I know at the comprehensive plan, I was a consultant for that. We had meetings all over the county. It feels like we had 22, I think. But for the UDO, as a much more technical exercise, my recollection is that our UDO meetings were conducted either, again, early on, it was the COVID online. And then as we got further into the process, these were advertised meetings. So they were on the green sheet, and they involved county council and the planning commission. And so the ones that I can recall, and you may recall some others, they were all here, either in this room, in the chambers of this building, and then in the old 400 suite
Okay.
of the old building.
So I was just thinking about how that worked out. I never heard of the UDO, to be honest with you, until it was pretty much voted on. So, and I know probably COVID had a lot to do with some of that, but so they didn't go to the communities. It was here.
Correct.
So, okay.
Yeah. And again, they were advertised. Again, they were put out on the green sheet, and I think Keisha may have something to say.
A lot of these meetings were held either right immediately following the joint council and planning commission workshop, or in conjunction with some other, public thing that council was doing, so as to engage the public in a way that
Okay.
they didn't have to make it an extra trip or have to spend extra time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Just a follow-up question to the staff, and even you, Mr. Administrator. And this is going to be strictly opinion, but I'm going to be asked to vote on this in June, and I want to have some background on it that will influence my decision. Was there any real, actual, or perceived pressure to push the UDO to be ready for a December vote?
So I'll say this, I mean, from the start, or really the end of 2023, the effort was to have it wrapped up by the end of 2024. Was that
widely advertised?
Widely advertised?
All right, where can I find that? Was that a milestone somewhere in some of these documents you've handed me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and we've got some emails, and I don't know if
Between
the
council and you
emails
guys?
no, between staff, the then planning director, and the consultant, because we were always having to work with
Mr. Bickle?
procure-
The planning development P&D committee, or?
No, with the previous staff planning director.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
And so, I mean, I guess that's the short answer is the plan was always to have it wrapped up in 2024. And, and the other thing about it is this, I mean, planning, you do have work plans. Right now we're working through the county's first open space plan. And so the idea is you really want to be able to smooth these out so you don't have big projects running concurrently. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I just want to make
Okay.
sure that if previous council or even some of that are on there now, if there was a perceived pressure to, hey, we got to get this thing done in December before the new crazies come on board. If you perceive that, that's all I'm asking. No. Okay, so the plan was always basically get it done that time.
I mean, just normal at the end of any session, they try to clean up what is out there that they've been working on. We had some, just anytime a project of this size is trying to come to the end, they try to clear the decks to get it done.
Okay.
And so there was no big push, not on our behalf anyway, to do it. Except we want to get it off our plates.
Sure, absolutely.
Just because this was basically a 4.5, 5-year
Yeah.
project.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, I might have an easy one. This is looking to the future, and probably for Administrator Cornell. It's a little more technical on maybe the funding mechanism, how this works. You say if it was through Public Works, we get an outside consultant to do that work. That would be helpful, as we probably discussed before, with projects like an overlay for Pebble Creek, and I think Gary has something near Fountain Inn. Maybe we all have some where we would like overlays. And I think one of the issues with staffing is that there's been turnover, and so there's a break in that effort, and it's frustrating to the residents and everybody. Can we bake into the new coming budget where we have room to get consultants like we did for this document who could help us draft those up and maybe relieve our staff from that big responsibility?
Yeah, of course, that's up to county council. But if that's something y'all would want to see, absolutely. Yeah, some staff turnover, that's going to happen in any organization, and it does disrupt, especially when they've gotten so embedded with the residents of that area. It's a challenge because then it takes time to get somebody else on board to basically learn the system and what they're doing there and everything. So I'd be all in favor of that.
Okay, that may be a way to look at some of these in the future. Just
Absolutely.
much smaller than this, obviously.
Yeah.
But
And-
I mean,
and-
the staff has always been great. Well, didn't we lose one to a PhD study in California?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we're not losing
Arizona
We're losing them
State.
for good reasons.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I believe she got her PhD, didn't she?
She did. Well, she got it at Clemson, and now she's doing a fellowship at Arizona State.
Okay. Supposedly she's coming back, but we'll see. But yeah, that's part of the problem. Anytime you have turnover like that, it does cause some slowdown.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. All right, we'll move on to the next item, and it is number 7, regarding employee credit cards. Absolutely. Go ahead, Gary.
Okay, let me find it here. What's that? Okay, yeah, this, next item is credit cards.
Yes.
Okay. You want to jump in there?
Yeah, I can jump in, and I got that memo also. I do not have that information yet. We are working on it. That's a significant amount of information. Just for the record, we don't have credit cards. We have what they call purchasing cards, and it's relatively the same, but
It's
there
a
are
little
some
different,
nuances. It comes actually through the state. It's part of a state program. It was introduced a number of years ago to cut down on the amount of paper, and such as what we call authorization orders. They're mini purchase orders, that kind of thing, and then which turns around into an accounts payable activity, which turns into a check. And as we've tried to move toward less paper, more efficiency, we enrolled in the state's program with purchasing cards. And how these work, they work much like a debit card or a credit card that departments have. There's about 330 of them, 338 in the county. Some individuals have them. Some use them. For instance, mine's used for not just myself, but also for the office, buying some office supplies, things like that. But we track all that, and there's checks and balances all through the process. Got to have receipts. When you go to pay, which is all done electronically and all that, the statements come out and come to the departments, and then you have to go in to each item and provide receipts, documentation. For instance, if it was used to purchase a meal, who attended, what was the agenda, that kind of thing. Then it goes back through procurement, not only department level, then procurement. Then it has to get through accounts payable. So there's lots of sets of eyes along the way. And also, it's a great check and balance. For instance, there was some suspicious activity on the use of mine. And there's some 10-cent charges and this and that. We don't know if it was a skimmer somewhere that got it. There was a charge for $172 at Walmart that was credited back right away. But they stopped it. The Bank of America is who it's issued through. They stopped all that and alerted us, which is great. They do that regularly. We can control how that card's used. For instance, if Mr. Collins had one, we could say he can only buy this type of product from this type of store. We can focus in, and for instance, Road and Bridge, we know where they can shop and where they can't shop and things like that. Just different controls that are in place. We also get a rebate, and that rebate can be substantial at the end of the year through the state as part of the program. I believe it was in the $70,000, $80,000 range last year. And, we don't pay interest because we pay our bills on time. So it's has a lot of advantages, and we'll get you all the information requested and lay it all out for you and all that. But it's been a very, very good program over the years.
Thank you.
I've got a question about that. So let's say, and I'm not speaking from my personal experience, but I'm speaking from one of my soldiers' personal experiences. Back in the military, we have this thing called a DTS card, same sort of deal, credit card, tracks all your spending and all that good stuff. My soldier tried to use this at a strip club and they were denied. So are there any like backstops, like
yeah.
if you like try to use it like that?
Yeah, there's a number of backstops where you can use it. Well, quick story. Just experience. So this has been a few years ago. We had just started the program, thought, okay, here we go. Well, county council decided to go to iPads. Great. Well, go get us some iPads. So at the time, Deputy Administrator, myself, John Hansley, we go to the Apple Store, get the iPads for council. And thought, great, we'll have them for them next council meeting, all that. You buy half, I'll buy half. Great. He goes, and they go to run his card through, declined. And I kind of chuckled and said, yeah, well, you need to pay your bills. So I run mine through, declined. And because I had asked John prior, I said, well, do we have the capacity to do this? Oh, yeah, we're fine. We did. The total limit was fine, except the per transaction was limited. And it was at a much lower level. So we walked out of there. We actually walked out with the iPads because we have such control over it. We called back to our procurement staff. They were able to change it and say, okay, this is okay, and send it through. But yeah, just exactly what you said. And not only does it prevent them, we get alerts to say, hey, somebody tried to use their card at this place. So it's a very sophisticated system, and it's been very beneficial. But if you can imagine, we do about $500,000 a year worth of what I call small purchases. And these are ones that fall under $500,000 a month, fall under the bidding requirements or the procurement type requirements that just think of the amount of paper. You're going to see the amount of paper because we're going to bring you the receipts and all the transactions and who has them and what they're used for. You'll see. It's a lot. It's a lot of paper reduction, quite frankly.
Thank you.
I got one. Don't take it out of my district fund. I'm broke. I say that jokingly.
Just out of your expense account. Yeah,
we
appreciate it.
In the where there's the built-in controls and stuff. So when you get that transaction, say from a particular department, is that posted on the website as far as the expenditure side?
I'll have to check because the issue will be what level of detail. All the expenses for the county are on the website, but I don't think you're going to see the level of detail. For instance, when you get a credit card bill from personal credit card bill, and you went to Amazon, for instance, it's going to show Amazon. That's the level of detail.
So on the website, on the general fund, are all transactions listed on that as well?
They are, but not the level of detail I think you're after. And that's what we'll look at and see what we can do to get it.
Well, I just looked on there earlier. I think Tuesday was the last day. I didn't see any for the general fund expenditures. But I came across this just for control purposes, passport postage. Mm-hmm. All the transaction dates were the same date, and it come up to about $13,000.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see what that is. I don't know what that is.
I don't want to give you my story on it, but
yeah, no,
there's a story I could attach to it. But I just thought it was interesting because the general fund didn't have any expenditures listed, but then I came across a passport postage who's been shut down till further notice, but everything was entered on August 1st of 2024.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Passport office. We used to have a passport office.
Sure.
And they quit doing it at the Register of Deeds.
Right. And the only thing I was just showing my story was everything was all entered the same date.
Well, yeah, let's check on that.
Yeah, okay, not a problem. That's my last question.
And we've had an issue in the past where some of that stuff gets posted twice.
Well, I think if the website's up there, I think the expenditure portion of, because I know in the council, when I hit all the drop downs for councils, we were tagged very well.
Oh, yeah.
We were identified.
Yes.
And, but that said, a lot of other departments, probate, 13 slip, a lot of that was on there. But when you get to the general expenditure, zero.
Well, it depends on where it's classified also. We'll find
General
it.
expenditure is
Yeah.
zero.
Nah, we'll see where it
Yeah.
goes.
I think that should be a tool that the public should be able to see where the
Absolutely.
dollar's going to.
No, that's the
And
purpose of it.
whether it's a 6-pack of diet soda for whatever gathering, I mean, still, you don't have to put Coca-Cola or just something. But yeah, I think that would be.
Well, and that's what we need to find out, how we can extract that data, because I don't want to have a bunch of clerks sitting there
Right.
feeding in information like
Sixth
that.
grade. Sixth grade level.
Because we've tried to do away with a lot of that by going to the purchasing cards and all that. So we just got to figure out a way to extract it.
Right.
in order to
Because
put
I
it
don't
on.
think the public will be able to see that purchasing card transaction.
They wouldn't.
Right.
Well,
So on that expenditure box on the side, they would be.
in detail. They would just the payment, because everything goes through like that. Bank
Absolutely.
of America, but it's a total amount.
Sure.
And that's what I'm saying. We're investigating how we can do the detail.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. No. Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's see here.
Is it me again?
I think it is.
Okay, it's me again. Surprise.
I think it is.
County vehicles, Mr. Administrator.
Yes, sir.
Forgive me, but
I got that memo also.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad it gives me a lot to do in my free time.
You have free time?
In my free time,
No, I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
It is budget season too. So we are gathering that information for you also, to identify, answer all the questions you have. We have a fleet policy. We have a lot of checks and balances for that. We actually have a fleet service where it's in-house. So the repairs, when we need oil change, we have a place to go. They track all the repairs and all that. We don't do body work, things like that. We do a lot of the police equipment installs. You got to come over there sometime when they have a brand new vehicle and it's stripped out completely on the inside, as they're putting all the radios and sirens and lights and all that. So in budget, you'll see all that at budget time also. But like I said, we track it all. We have about 800 some odd vehicles in our fleet, and that's everything from dump trucks and other pieces of equipment. Sheriff's office has a lot of vehicles, as you know. So we do have rhyme and reason on what we do. You mentioned the lease. We don't have a true lease. When you see it, it's called the master lease.
Master
That's
lease program.
strictly a financing. It's a lease purchase. It would be a better descriptor for it, quite frankly. We own the vehicles, okay? It's a financing. And so we're able to sometimes trade out vehicles. For instance, if one gets wrecked or has a major mechanical issue and we need to replace it, we're able to trade them out, plug them back in, depending on the bank and all that, of course. But it's not a lease like I think you were thinking it might have been, just because of what it's called. It's just a financing.
Yeah, I pulled it down right from the website too and went through all that. But yes, sir, I did.
So,
but
but we'll have all that information for you.
If you can just answer one quick question, is county employees driving county vehicles, can you give me a quick description of who's authorized and for what type of vehicles? Do they get to drive them from work to domicile?
Yeah.
Is it contract related or is it just a benefit?
Okay, most of them, if they're driving from work to home, it's because of the nature of their job. Sheriff's Department does have a take-home policy
No.
on their vehicles. Okay.
Totally understand.
Okay. Codes people, where they're basically on call 24/7.
Correct.
Building inspectors, things like that. The only contract is myself, quite frankly. That's part of my contract, that county provides me a vehicle for any use that I choose to use it for. But everybody else is very restricted on, and there's no benefit, so to speak, for it. In fact, not all the assistant administrators have vehicles. That's just not something we use as a perk. If there's a bona fide reason, that's when they have one. And so, and the same way with replacement and all that, it's based on the cost to maintain, the mileage, things like the use. You know, for instance, sheriff's department vehicles, we don't like to let those run too high a mileage because we don't want them running 120 miles an hour down the road if they have 120,000 miles on them, quite frankly. So, but there again, if it's a building inspector or something like that, the mileages don't matter near as much because they don't drive at those speeds or do things like that. So there's a lot of different criteria that we'll share with you and go from there.
Thank you. Right, I think that is all. And just a follow-up comment, a lot of the reasons for these questions are, first of all, we are in the budget cycle, and a lot of these things are going to come up during the budget cycle, so I think it helps us to be prepared when we get all the numbers in for that. And also the UDO is a timely thing because we're going to take that up immediately after the budget. So if you wonder where the questions are coming from, that's where.
I'm looking forward to that.
All right, so now we have the public comments section. How many people do we have to speak?
We have 4 speakers signed up.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Ready?
Yep.
The first speaker is Diane Vreeland. Her topic is the UDO.
Good afternoon.
Is
Can barely hear you.
Is Ms. Freeling turned up? Microphone.
Sounds like a plan. There we go.
There we go. Thanks. Sorry about that.
Okay, it's quite all right. Diane Vreeland, 413 Heather Falls Lane.
Hold on, Diane. Would you guys please restart her time?
Thank you. I just looked up and saw that. I thought, oh, I'll just argue with you later.
Just to be fair, I mean, technical glitches we'll give you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know who I am. You know where I live. Recently, Michelle Schumann put up a list of lawsuits against the county. You can find it on Facebook. She posted it there. In looking at this list, which I have with me, Greenville Sanitation and the UDO are on the list. Attorney Audrey Passon spoke many times about procedural illegalities as it relates to the Enabling Act, and an example of that would be proper notification via the newspaper and how we go about things. I have experience as a former trustee, vice president, and president of Board of Education. Our attorney would sit in on our executive sessions, our workshops, and our regular meetings. And if something was wrong, he would immediately stop us in our tracks and say, you might want to consider this, or we'd have to go into executive session to discuss. But he was very proactive about how he dealt with that. I have some questions as a citizen as it relates to this. What is the county attorney's responsibilities for? What exactly is his role? Who does he work for, Mr. Cannell and his staff, or counsel, or both? It's unclear. It's also unclear what the responsibilities are. Why isn't he notifying the council of improper procedures that lead to lawsuits? It's unclear to me as a citizen. What is clear is that the cost of these lawsuits fall on the taxpayers. We foot the bill for the lawsuits and defending the county. The bottom line is we need a clear delineation of lawful procedures to be taken before an item is brought to the council for a vote. We can eliminate a number of lawsuits by simply complying with state law. We ran into that with the Enabling Act with the UDO. In the future, let's do things properly in an attempt to mitigate the amount of lawsuits against Greenville County and the cost of it to the county taxpayers. The county attorney's job must include proactive advice to keep us out of court. Don't ask, don't tell is simply irresponsible. for the citizens. And for the record, I think the UDO should be scrapped entirely for a host of reasons, but especially because it was unlawfully enacted. And that's all I have to say for now on the subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
I'll hand it off to you. Okay. Thank you.
The next speaker is Ed Paxton, and he has various topics.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ed.
I hope you all are tired like I am. In regard to the Greater Greenville, I'm Ed Paxton, mailing address is 1 York Circle, Greenville. In regard to the Greater Greenville sanitation thing, item 5, I've been following those people for years, and I personally wouldn't lend them a nickel if they gave me a $5 cash bond. That's how far I trust them. I've seen too much. It was a great dog and pony show this afternoon they put on. Don't buy it. Secondly, in regard to item 3A on your agenda, which is the one having to do, which is your minutes, I think that we desperately need to do more in the way of illustrations as to what citizens say to you people than just say he showed up. That's what you did for the minutes that you approved today for Michelle Schumann last month. She showed up. The lady knew what she was talking about. Lastly, I got problems with planning. I'll be honest with you. It always seems to happen that their activities come after the fact instead of before. I don't know how many times planners on one of these major construction projects have come to me and said, Ed, what are you going to do next? And I said, that's what you're supposed to tell me. But it didn't happen that way. They always came to me for the sake of putting out here some sort of dog and pony show. And I think we need to learn from that. That's it.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Josh Painter. His topic is Greater Greenville Sanitation.
Make it extra hard on me here.
That's it. We want to hear you.
Yeah. Council members, I'd like to thank y'all for your time, listening to our concerns about Greater Greenville sanitation's practices, oversight, and frankly, abuse of this community. My name is Josh Painter, and I, along with my cousin Chad Painter, own Kirby Sanitation, a local business based in the upstate since 2003. We employ over 75 individuals, and I'm also a lifelong resident of Greenville County. For over a decade, since my first experience with Greater Greenville Sanitation in 2013, the district has actively solicited business outside of its district, offering below market rates that are subsidized by taxpayers' funds from within the district, creating an unfair competitive environment for private sanitation businesses like mine. Greater Greenville Sanitation enjoys a tax-free status, while our business pays hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes annually. Fees such as motor fuel fee, state and federal income tax, excise tax, South Carolina road use fee, property taxes, and tag fees. In fact, since 2008, we've paid over $500,000 in property taxes and tag fees on our trucks alone, not counting property. Greenville County, Greater Greenville's practices also impacts the broader sanitation industry in Greenville County. According to the economic data and impact for waste and recycling industry in 2021, 64 sanitation companies operate here, employing 619 individuals with a combined annual payroll of $37 million. Many of these small businesses just like mine. Beyond harming local businesses, Greater Greenville's practices unfairly burden taxpayers in their district. If Greater Greenville can offer services outside their district for the City of Travelers Rest for about $170 per year per residence, Why did the taxpayers in their district have to pay a fee of $210 plus a millage that's set to increase by about 20% this year? Greater Greenville has not only solicited business outside of its district, but also actively solicited to expand its district. And I encourage y'all to look at their website because it has the solicitation stuff on there where they talk about full standard service. Why limit your services when you can get it all? Sure sounds like solicitation to me. At the end of the day, the people in their district love their service, and we don't want to see that taken away from them. But maybe it's time for Greater Greenville to love the people in their district and take care of them by providing them with the best service they can at the best rate they can, instead of coming out here and using taxpayer funds to take business away from private businesses just like ours. We appreciate your time and just ask for y'all to level the playing field for small businesses and stop the abuse of the taxpayers. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Josh.
The last speaker is Kathleen Shabahian, and her topic is Greater Greenville Sanitation.
Thank you. I'm Kathleen Trebajian, and I've lived at 248 Earl Drive for the last 45 years. And I'm here to object to the transfer station going in on Old Easley Highway. I was part of the group which heard Steve Cole say in 2019 that the purpose of the purchase was to have a place to store equipment and possibly an office. A transfer station slipped in and is now being funded by an increase in our taxes for a $20 million bond, which was supported by the 2024 County Council, by an increase in our taxes. Now, I, as a taxpayer, was not included in that decision to increase my taxes, and I object to this 21% tax increase for Greater Greenville in order for them to put in a transfer station that we oppose. So I'm requesting that the Greenville County Council rescind this $20 million bond and let the taxpayers have a vote. This county council is all about transparency. Well, then let's be transparent. And let's let people know that we're increasing your taxes, and let us, as citizens, have a vote. Also, while I was here, I heard a board member, Tony Ernst, say that Greater Greenville Sanitation would like to take over the whole county. That was just in this meeting. And what will happen to, as Josh Painter just pointed out, the 64 private haulers who employ over 600 employees? When we have a problem with Greater Greenville Sanitation. I have been at the last 8 meetings of Greater Greenville, and they have been over budget at every meeting. This last one in February, they were $1,526,000 over budget, and yet they're being approved new vehicles. So I'm requesting that the Greenville County Council consider forming a new board that oversees the Greater Greenville Sanitation Department rather than just rubber stamp Steve Cole's whims. I'm also requesting that members of Greenville County Council attend their monthly meetings where new equipment is authorized and they're already over budget. Well, we'll just get more money from the taxpayers. So I'd like to know who audits the funds, who audits the budget, when was the last audit done? The board is responsible, and if this board can't handle it, then a new board member should be found. And also, thank you, Steve Shaw, for mentioning they get $1,100 stipend a month to be on that board. Well, how come they get that? So get a new board where you don't have to give out that kind of stipend. Let them be true volunteers. Also, the reason H 4003 would not have been needed to be submitted to the legislature if Steve Cole was following the law. So how can Steve Cole get away with disobeying the law, and how he should be held accountable? Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that's it. All right, I'll entertain one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.